Hello, Bingies. Welcome to BingeWorthy, part of the Geeks Network. We binge a show to let you know if you should. I'm your host, Rakai, the Newt from the Ville, and today with me we have Randy, Catherine, and Centel. Randy, say hello to the people.
What's going on, BingeWorthy?
Miss Catherine, say hello to the people.
Hello from Memphis.
Right, barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue time.
And Centel, say hello to the people.
Oh, Miss Sophia, home now. Let's go.
Hello, governor. All right. Now, if you're an audience member, feel free to communicate with us. We're live right now on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube. So make sure you communicate with us. Get in the comments, and we'll try to answer them during the show. Now, today we'll let you know if you should binge watch DC's or HBO Max's The Penguin. Now, The Penguin is set after the DC movie The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, and it's about the rise of the Gotham City villain Oswald Cobb, also known as the Penguin, who's an underboss for the Falcone crime family. The Penguin sees an opportunity to rise in the mob after the death of his boss and the chaos in Gotham City. He exploits the rivalry between the Falcones and the Maronis, another crime family, to further his own power. Now, Rodney, the greatest technical producer in the land, he will post our cast members' ratings for The Penguin. Now, while Rodney posts the ratings, I want to let you know that we rate the show at the beginning and at the end, just to see if anyone's had a change of heart during our discussion. So, Rodney, what did we come up with? And none of us know each other's ratings, so we have no idea what we said.
Wow.
Well, look at
A
that.
lot of diversity in these opinions.
Yeah, you know what? I'm so confused at how you guys rated this so
How did
low.
you come up with it?
Oh man.
Now, if you guys are not familiar with our scale, we start with a scale of 5. So 5 is a binge-worthy, 4 is a full meal, 3 is a mini meal, 2 is a snack, and 1 is cringe-worthy. Ugh.
And in the chat, Mark gave it binge-worthy as well.
And it
Okay.
turns out that I don't know, this is gonna be some hard math for me, Randy, but I think you average these all together and it comes up to a 5. So it looks like
Let
all
me
of us
check.
gave it a binge worthy.
What
I'm
is
going to start
Ken?
out and just say I gave it a binge worthy because since this came out, I have consistently told people about this and said, listen, this is one of the best hours of TV on TV. I love the fact that they gave us a tight story. And even though it was connected to a world and stuff that we were familiar with, but they gave us a tight story. And when it comes to villains, listen, they did that. They gave us a villain that I can root for and also can't stand a monkey at, like, it's wonderful. 5 for me. Catherine, what about you? Why'd you give it a binge worthy?
It's just a really well done show. I mean, I would put this at a gourmet meal. It's
Oh,
not only a worthy, it's a binge worthy gourmet meal.
you get the little salt
Uh,
on it.
it is art. It is true cinema, beautiful acting. I hope I said that right. Beautiful acting, just gorgeous, and it also keeps on your toes. So when you think something's gonna go a certain way, it will flip it on its head in a really great and in an interesting way. But I just love it. And I was already a big fan of like Matt Reeves as the Batman and his world building. So I like what that they the way they delivered this is you don't really have to watch the Batman to understand the Penguin. And I think that's good. Like it can stand up on its own. But it's just well done.
You're right. Randy, why'd you give it a binge worthy, sir?
I concur with a lot that has already been said here. I thought the Penguin was is one of the best comic book properties I've ever seen. And it's not comic book as in it's just a hero comic book. Like this is a psychological thriller. We have we have layers of complications in just like the human psyche of what drives people to be who they are and really the manifestation of evil. And it was even when it was having that, there were parts in here where we have a villain, just like you all said, we have a villain. But at first, I was like, oh, maybe I can get behind this. I see where he comes from. I see what he's done. And then there's some parts I'm like, nah, that ain't it, right? Like, nah, I can't I can't get with this dude. So it's just a really complicated and beautifully acted, written in this universe. Like the look of it. It looks like New York City. Like this looks like it could be set in Goodfellas or like New Jack City or something that's contemporary real world. So all of those components, yeah, like Ricardo's pointing back, all of those components put together, I thought this was just absolutely outstanding.
I I I love your answer, Randy. That was that brother's smart. Well, I tell you. And finally, but certainly not least, Mr. Centel, why did you give it a binge worthy?
Man, I concur with everything you said. I'll go as far as this, and this is a big standout for me. Not since Breaking Bad have I seen a villain tale like this. This isn't a spoiler because you already know Penguin's a bad guy. You know he's a villain. But to tell the villain's tale and make it sympathetic at times, interesting. You never know what's going to happen. You're going to go through some emotional change ups as a result of what happens in this story. And it's solid. And Colin Farrell understood the assignment and knocked that mother sucker clear out the park.
They did understand the assignment.
Yep.
All right, so let's jump right into this. So, how well do you think that this show balances the plot, character development, which is important, and the world building? I'm going to start with this super intelligent brother. I'm going to start with Randy.
Okay. Very similar to what I said earlier. We have a remarkable script. It is a great, remarkable script that is well written. And again, this could be a novel on screen. It's unfolding just like that. And so it's supported by phenomenal acting. Colin Farrell and Sophia and all these host of characters, like they really brought life to these pages and just the setting of it. Like you said, it's completely divorced from the could be divorced from the Batman movie and stand on its own. So to build a world, every single character, no frames were wasted. Every single character had a purpose, and you wanted to learn more about all of them. And we should mention we got a villain. This is not a complex Killmonger type of character. Nah, just the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy.
He-
All
In
right,
my Razor Ramon voice.
looking to the bad guy. All right, Centel, what about you? What do you think?
As far as balancing plot, character development, world building, the world
Yes,
building
sir.
to me is interesting. I haven't seen like ground level characters get this type of love since Netflix started bringing out the Daredevils, the Luke Cages, that real ground feel kind of thing. It's real easy for something like this to get lost in the fantastical, especially when you're dealing with, the Lord of the Night somewhere off in the shadows somewhere. But it doesn't. It feels very grounded in reality, and I think that's probably one of its better points. Now, I don't know if it can maintain that for whatever happens in the future, but for now, I really appreciate the world that it built because it can be weighed and measured in real terms.
Okay. Catherine?
Um, sorry, I had my point and I lost it. But yeah, no, I agree. It's like very well, like very grounded, very well acted. Again, the characters have their own like arcs and stories. And even the character of Gotham, like really shot. You get more backstory of the character of Gotham. It's its own character, and I feel like I just lost my point that I was trying to make, but it'll come back to me. So sorry. Repeat the question again.
Well, just how do you feel like this show handled the world building,
Mhm.
handled the plot devices, and handled character development?
Oh yeah, beautifully. Character development's done really well. Like I think I said, acting's good. Gotham, the character's done well, and then I like how Matt Reeves does visual storytelling and how every single thing has a layer and a purpose. Even like its environments will give more clues about characters and different things. And this is also just, I am a Batman nerd. My chair is a Batman chair, but there's a lot of visual storytelling that's done beautifully here. And it just adds to that character development and world building. So,
Now let me ask y'all this, and this is an impromptu question. If I'm not mistaken, this series is it set after the Batman movie?
yeah.
Okay, it is set after. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I thought. Do you think that this, even though it's not required, you do not have to watch the Batman to get into the series and to understand what's going on in the series? Those two things are not connected in that way. Do you think that this hurts? Would this have been stronger, or would it actually have taken away from what was presented on screen if the Batman was in it? And anybody can
Want to
jump in
see
there.
Batman show up in this series. And I'm sorry, did I cut you off until?
No, go for it, please, brother. Go
Oh no,
ahead.
I don't think because to me, again, it was so grounded in reality. Like I felt like I was watching a mob story.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was watching Goodfellas. I felt like I was watching a Bronx Tale. And there was nothing that said that this was like a hero kind of villain hero. We got a real story in criminality and human psychology. And I liked that it just stood on its own.
Okay,
Uh,
that's a great answer.
yeah.
Now, were you? Oh, please, Catherine, go ahead.
Oh shoot. Okay. Yeah, I agree 100%. Like I'm a big Batman fan, but I think it would have ruined I don't like saying ruined, but it wouldn't have fit it with this story.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way they're doing this and kind of these are their side comics, if you will, or side stories is perfect. And I think it would have just confused the audience that just came into watching the Penguin, hadn't watched the Batman, and yeah. And again, I'm gonna go back to Rodney's point about like it being a true villain story. It's very rare that we get like 100% true villain stories, and we always get this like, oh, they're a villain, now they're an anti-hero, and now I have to like them, and it's kind of been this trend of anti-hero villains to anti-heroes. Like, oh, they're not gonna be a villain forever, but I'm glad like this has a very not only is it a villain story, it's a very like realistic and grounded story that kind of dives into the psychology of a villain.
Okay. All right. And Centella, I know you were gonna say something.
Now, were you also asking in terms of the Batman is like seeing the movie? How does that affect the series? Were you asking in those terms?
No, what I'm saying is because this is connected to that world,
Okay.
and basically he is one of the rogues gallery. He is one of the villains of Batman, and maybe not the most famous, but he's up there. He's, top five, I
Yeah.
guess maybe. Um, would it have taken away from what this series was, what it presented to us on the screen, if the Batman had shown up in this particular IP?
I think it would have been an awful idea. Absolutely, it would have totally undermined everything that this were brought up and how they go about that. Because there will be a time when you're watching this where you might be like, hey, that guy does exist in this universe, But you're never like waiting on bated breath for it, and that's good. It stands on its own. It stands on its own too, and it's strong. And yeah, I'm so happy that they didn't go the way that you may think it goes with that.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question. What about the very opposite? Like, should DC adapt this type of storytelling for its DC universe on the big screen?
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in here with that,
Mhm.
because I think that was the next place that I was gonna go.
Okay.
Because I actually was gonna say this was so good. I was like, listen, the people at Marvel, the people at Star Wars, they need to be sitting down and writing notes, because you took something that's connected to the universe. They've done Batman movies and reboots and restarts, and we've had 17 Batmans and all that for decades. You gave us something that is connected to that world, but original. I mean, Star Wars tried it with Andor, and it worked to a degree, but it didn't work like this.
No.
This, you're absolutely right. A Bronx Tale, um, Goodfellas. We were watching a bona fide mobster TV show, and it was taught. It had great villains, plural, had great villains. It had great turns. It had great twists. It had great psychological issues. We got backstory and actually fleshed out the character that was Oz Cobb in a way that's never been done before. He was, I'm thinking, to me, the most famous portrayal of him was Danny DeVito in the original Tim Burton movies. Oh, okay. But that was almost campy. That was almost,
It's
you
Tim
know,
Burton. Very Tim
yeah.
Burton.
So this supersedes all of that to me, and it's just like, depending on how you might say Jack Nicholson, you might say Heath Ledger is the best Batman. I mean, the best Joker that there was. Colin Farrell completely disappeared into that. Like, if you didn't know that that was him, you would not know that that was him. Like, he embodied this part and he bodied it. I think the other properties could learn something, how to get fresh stories and more life out of a IP without needing your space wizards and your laser swords or whatever it is that you need. You don't need people in tights running around. And Centel's right. That would have completely taken away if the Batman showed up. Taken away
Yeah.
from this.
I was gonna answer the question that
Go ahead.
I guess if you flipped it and I guess like if all these shows kind of did things like the Penguin, I think that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Kinda, because DC is known for being dark and gritty, and
Hmm.
its ventures into live action outside of its Batman properties have not been as successful. Maybe if they took a more, and I guess I was asking if they took a more realistic approach, maybe not as dark and as gritty, but realistic approach, would it serve its audience better? And I'm like, I know I'm the DC stan, on the
Oh
panel.
yeah,
Everybody else here is kind of.
Oh no, I'm a big DC. I grew up on DC animated. I guess for me, I don't think it needs to necessarily all of the characters in DC need to have this Matt Reeves vibe and feel, but I think the thing with the Penguin is and like going forward with other properties and other iterations. And I'm just gonna say from I think at least in like yeah in general, like treat it like it stands alone. I think is smart. You're gonna have connected areas, and I know Matt Reeves is like a different category. It's outside of James Gunn's universe that he's building. But I think really treat it like how they like treat it. I don't want to say cinema because that's the wrong word, but treat it like it can shine on its own. If I took out everything else, and if it needed everything else to be a stronger film, I think that's an overall weak film. And I think what the Penguin did is it built it's connected to worlds. It's clearly connected to the Matt Reeves kind of universe, but I don't. It can stand by itself, and it doesn't need to rely on other content to be a strong film. And I feel like that's a problem when you get into film like Star Wars, Marvel, whatever. It's like it has to rely on all these things, all these Easter eggs, all these things that these kind of cheap gimmicks to make it a strong thing. And that's my biggest issue with, I guess, a lot of Hollywood movies right now, where it's like, oh, you know that bubblegum thing? Well, we're gonna put 50 of them, and it's if without this, it's just it doesn't make sense. So
Um,
Sure.
I think it's dangerous to kind of try to recreate this lightning in a bottle. Especially because it's supernatural. I don't know if it fits, but I also want to say let's not forget DC isn't new to this. They've done this before and successfully with the supernatural and making it a one-off, and they did it with the Watchmen series. Watchmen was brilliant,
Yeah, it was.
absolutely
yeah.
brilliant, and it did a way of telling good story that's very character driven with elements of the supernatural to go along with it. So I think it's possible, but I feel that I think you can do that with the property like the Watchmen, because not a lot of people are really, checking for the Watchmen, but people are checking for the Batman universe, like the Batman stuff. So I don't know how well that translates. So I'm a little on the fence. Can it work in this Matt Reeves universe? Yeah, I don't know. And I kind of don't even want them to experiment. I just kind of want this to be its own thing and kind of be done. But if they do, then let's look to the Watchmen to see how that formula worked.
Well, here's the thing about it too, because yes, you're absolutely right about the Watchmen, and it's very easy to forget that that's part of the DC universe because it never seemed like it had those connective tissues. However, and I was thinking about it from this angle. When Randy asked that question, we all know that the DC movies are absolute trash. They cannot figure out how to make a movie that's going to movie theater to save their lives. And they have one or two good movies out of 100. However, it's almost everything they did. Animated is a grand slam, not even a home run, grand slam. Um, a lot of what they've done on TV, love it or hate it, the CW, the Arrowverse was actually pretty good. Now they got to some points where they kind of jumped the shark. He's like, oh, okay, what are we doing now? Last seasons of Game of Thrones, they just, all right, we phoning it in. But for the most part, that was pretty solid. And not only Watchmen, we forgot another DC property that was actually really good, or two of them, completely different, aloof, whimsical, wacky. The damn Harley Quinn series is
Oh, yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah, yes.
Phenomenal. And then not only that, another one that's really, really good is Peacemaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Peacemaker. And they're about to drop season 2 of that.
And even
Completely different vein. So that just goes to show that not everything has to be like this.
Mhm.
But I think this was the right call for this.
And I'd even add the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why they went and brought in James Gunn. They had to steal some Marvel people. They're like, all right, he gets it. Maybe we can do something better. He's good at doing ensemble pieces. So You know.
And Rakai, I feel like we were on the exact same page because that's the exact reason that I asked that question. It was like, because we haven't had a lot of success, but with all of its outside properties in different mediums, they've been great, but they can't nail down the movie property. So I don't know. Like, how do we, as a DC fan, I'm like, hey, how can we put some of that into, to theatrical releases?
And to me,
Yeah.
that's part of like Warner Brothers. Like, I'm not saying that every idea that people had in DC was perfect, but I do think that there was a studio issue with trying to be like Marvel and replicate a recipe and not like, honing in on what, you know, DC has amazing characters and villains, and they didn't utilize that and wanted to copy and paste and then also ruin other visions and stories to Frankenstein up some weird thing, which is ironic now that we have creature commandos. So now they really have monsters running around. That's a bad joke. Uh, um, but I think it's possible for them to, and I feel like they're on a verge of like turning things around on like at least live action, more like TV and potential movies. I just think they're they're in a ugly phase. Marvel went through its ugly phase. Remember, Hulk and
Marvel
Daredevil and
Marvel is in their ugly phase. They still ugly.
okay, they're ugly like birth phase, like their ugly baby phase. That's a
Yeah,
horrible
like
term, but
Marvel, they showed up to the ball with their glass slippers on, with and with Avengers Endgame, and then right after that movie went off, the clock struck 12, and they had to go home in the little pumpkin, and ain't nobody been able to find that other glass slipper since. Like, I don't know,
yeah.
So to your point, Warner Brothers is completely crap in the bed, but so is Disney. Disney is crap in the bed, and they have destroyed two things I love: Marvel and Star Wars. So they all out there languishing. Paramount is trying to make something happen with Star Trek, so and they've been killing it on TV. So maybe they'll get their movies back to going. Who knows? A lot of these big properties are like that. I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole because I think we can talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah.
In in the Penguin, were there any recurring themes or motifs that you guys picked up on? Centel, I'll start with you this time, sir.
Yeah, there's like an old I don't know, tale, I guess, about the story of the scorpion and the frog, right?
Ooh.
This frog
Yes,
shows
sir.
up and he's like, the scorpion is like, hey, I need to get across this river. Doesn't really work out too well for the frog. As a result, it's like your nature is your nature. And I think that's kind of like a reoccurring theme. Real quick and easy. I don't want to chew up anybody else's time, but I think that's kind of like a big thing, and I think that kind of fits with a lot of different layers as well, outside of just like the.
I think if I had enough
like
time to think about it, I might have came to that, but that was spot
Yep.
on, sir. That was so good.
I was gonna say evil, but Centel, you got it right. Your nature is your nature.
Oh,
It's almost like they did the opposite of Fast and Furious. That's all about family. It's like, well, we're gonna make you think this about family, but is it really? Were you gonna say something, Catherine? I'm sorry.
oh no, I was trying to understand I think I kind of understand what what you're alluding to with the scorpion and the frog. I've never heard that term, so like I just was trying to
Oh.
think of, yeah.
Well, do I have
That's
time to
so
say it real
hard.
quick?
I just love it. I just love it.
So
I
the
love it.
the scorpion and the frog, to say it real quickly, there's like a flood, right? And there's a frog on one side of the bank, and he was talking to the scorpion, and he was about to hop over to get on the other side. He's a frog, he can swim. It's super easy for him. The scorpion was like, hey, yo, can you give me a ride to get across this little river to get to the other side? And the frog was like, why would I do that? You're a scorpion. All you're gonna do is jack me up. He's like, nah, man, I got you. If I do that, we'll all drown. He was like, so it doesn't help anybody. So the frog was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So go ahead, hop on my back. I'm gonna swim across this river, and then we'll both get there. About halfway through, the scorpion was like, hey, I'm a scorpion, so I'm gonna do these scorpion things. And the frog is like, yo, you really gonna do us all in? He's like, yeah, get this
That's what I
thing.
do.
That's what
Yeah,
I do.
that's-
It's
That's
in
what I
my
do. That's
nature.
who I am.
I am a scorpion, and they both ended up drowning as a result of that. So that's like the quick.
And I love that in the fact that, and I'm not going to try to explain or anything. You can take what you wanted to your own interpretation from that, but it's one of those things. It's a saying that I say all the time. When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Believe them. You can't be fooled. Was it fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me three times. Forget the peace signs. Load the chopper, let it rain on you.
Let it rain
That's
on
J.
you.
Cole. My bad. My bad. That's something else. Something different.
The theme in the chat: no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
Boy had just gotten that bus.
Yeah. 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 Like, oh,
Were you gonna say something, Gather?
I guess I was gonna put it. This is kind of gonna sound weird how I'm gonna phrase this, but in a way, it's kind of like self-love and self-preservation. Not saying that's. It sounds weird, but like, I mean, self-love in the aspect of like I'm going to deny and like reject any like seeing myself in a negative light, helping other people, pretending, making a illusion or giving an illusion that I'm going to be a good and, protecting or whatever person, but I'm actually just selfish and will throw people under the bus to get my way. Maybe that's the wrong word. Maybe self-love is not the right word, but somehow like preserving, protecting, and like even in a madman sense, like uh lying to myself to put myself above.
Well, I think sometimes there's nothing wrong with self-preservation,
Hmm.
and I think because you really shouldn't let anyone knock you off your square. You
Yeah.
are who you are, and you're going to do what you do, and you shouldn't let anybody change that about you.
Hmm.
However, in the spirit of self-preservation, you shouldn't also go into every situation with blinders on. I mean, there's people out here waving huge red flags. They just out here waving red flags and stuff like this is,
Yeah.
like they at the party with Terry Crews and white girls or something. They just out here with the red flags or whatever. And you're like, no, I don't think that they would do that. They absolutely would do it. Don't miss. They believe him. He's showing you.
Oh yeah.
So. A lot of times we be like, no, I think they changed. No, don't get
Yeah.
fooled.
I, I guess like maybe it's the wrong word, like the self-love thing, but more of like you'll do anything for yourself, even if it means burning down a bridge. Maybe that's yeah. What? Yeah.
What? No, and sometimes I guess we all kind of think that you shouldn't burn any bridges. You never know when you need to gonna, walk that path again. But at the same point, sometimes if you know that that path is not for you, that path is toxic, that path it will lead to your destruction. Maybe you need to burn that shit down. Maybe you need to, come out with the pitchforks and torches and burn that mug to the ground. You got to take care of you. If you can't take care of you, you definitely can't take care of anyone else.
No.
Um, let's jump to probably the highlight of this. This is the part every week when we do this. This is the part where everybody lights up. Standout performances. Anybody can grab the mic. Standout performances. What was the standout performances for you?
So I'm going to say it wasn't necessarily, well, Colin Farrell and the actress who played for Sophia were absolutely.
Kristen Milotti.
It was stellar. But for me, what was stand out was a scene. And it's a scene where we get Penguin, we get Sophia, and we get a relative. And they're all in the same room. And it's just a master's class in like psychology of how they're interacting with each other and breaking each other down and making them all suffer. And I just thought that was kind of the culmination of performances from three very talented actors. So that was the standout. That scene was standout for me.
Okay. All right. Centella, Catherine.
I'll just go super quick with mine. I really did enjoy Frances. I thought there was something about her. Penguin's mom, she has this thing where she's very motherly in the thing that she does. She's very hard. She's tormented. she's got, the penguin's her son. Like, how do you deal with that? And the way that she can have you kind of root for certain things because of the way that she goes. But she's just Deidre O'Connell, I think is the actress who played her, and her teaming up with Oswald did some really interesting things. I haven't seen a mother figure like that, and it feels very mobster-ish. It feels very horror film-ish. It's got a lot of little layers, and you feel some kind of way about her journey.
Okay. All right, Catherine.
I think there's so many to choose from. Like, I think a lot of them just really did a great job, and especially even Clancy Brown.
Mm,
I think he did a good job. And I guess for me, um it's the ensemble of like the Penguin cast, but I really also just like Gotham and like that ensemble together. That's not maybe that's like a weird like actor thing, but I think it's just the characters in the show and Gotham as a character, it really stood out to me because there's so many intricacies and details that not only the cast brought about and really made this feel like a lived-in city. It wasn't just some generic, I don't know, Chicago. Even though it references like I think New Jersey in parts, it really felt like a much bigger world. Um, so I think that stood out to me like as a whole.
okay. I'm going to throw out a couple things. So I think I can't say enough, and I'm not going to say anything about the performance that Colin Farrell did as the Penguin was absolutely phenomenal. The
Yeah.
performance that Christine Milioti did as Sophia Gigante, Sophia Falcone, was phenomenal.
Mm.
Couple other ones for me. I agree with Deidre O'Connell as Frances, but one, Shohreh Agdashlu, I think
Oh,
that's how you say. She played
yeah,
Nadia Maroney.
yeah. The
She
voice.
was on
Oh
screen very
yes.
little,
Uh,
but I love every time that woman shows up on screen. She is a scene stealer, and
yeah,
that voice, that's probably
her
the most one
Yeah.
of the
voice
most
is
recognizable
bananas.
voices. Of course, I loved her in The Expanse, so she does no wrong to me.
She's also a voice actress, so
Expanse.
she's in a lot. She was
Yes,
in Arcane season one.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Uh,
knew as soon as her character showed up in Arcade, you knew
yeah, you're like,
exactly who it
uh-huh.
was. You're like,
Yeah, she was the head of the
yeah.
enforcers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh, and she was a
Yeah.
dragon recently, so
Um, but the performance I think was underrated and is easy to look over was Renzi Felice as
Mm,
yeah.
Victor.
Oh yeah.
hmm I
Hmm.
agree.
His arc through the 8 episodes, because we don't realize at the very beginning when we see him in the first episode, he's a homeless teenager. Because if you remember coming out of the Batman and even in the flashbacks where the flood, the whatever the thing, the flood happened and it washed out the lower income areas of Gotham.
Hmm.
He's homeless. He lost everything. He's homeless. And he became Oz's driver and his personal enforcer. And a lot of things that he couldn't stomach and he couldn't. His arc from first episode to the very end of the show was absolutely phenomenal. And I love the way that he played it. Um,
And we get to
and
see Oz through him.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right?
yeah,
He's
because like
kind of
Oz
like
really,
he's literally our chauffeur for the psychology of Oz as his driver, right? We
Yeah.
get to see Oz as being vulnerable, vicious, and all of those
Yeah.
things through the lens of Victor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I
yeah,
agree with
like
that.
Oz takes him under his wing and he mentors him. He's his protege.
Mm-hmm.
And you're absolutely right. We get to see, it's almost like we get to be that fly on the wall. We get to experience this through
Mhm.
the eyes of Victor, um, a sweet, innocent kid who's put in a rough position and ends up falling in with these gangsters, the ones who your mom and them tell you about, you need to watch who you hang around and you know what I'm saying, you out here with the wrong type of people. And he went all in. And and whenever you do stuff, there's payoff and there's consequences for your actions or whatever. I thought that he was actually really, really good in this.
Yeah.
That's oh, go ahead, Cynthia. Go ahead.
This is a super quick. The performance he did was so well done. There's some clamor going on in these streets for him to play Miles Morales. And I
Yeah, I can
and
see that.
I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that. I think from what I've seen just from this, I like to see what he could do with that. He certainly got the look.
Yeah.
But the chops, it's the chops that's got me like, yeah, I can
As
see that
much
maybe.
as I think that I would be on board with that, I'm not on board with that.
Too old?
I think he's a little bit too old.
He is a little old. He is a little
But
old.
and this is going to sound stupid, especially come from somebody who, as I'm looking at the screen right now, I'm the only one whose face is actually glowing on here right now. So, I think he's too light-skinned. If you look at how Miles Morales is drawn, Miles Morales being the Puerto Rican and black kid that he is, I just think that that type of representation on the screen is important. I think they go out of their way to whitewash a lot of characters, and even if you have a character of actual color, and I'm not just saying a person of color, but I'm saying that has a darker hue to them, they will hurry up and put someone who's much lighter into that place. And I think, they did that with Halle Berry and Alexandra Shipp for Storm. That woman is straight out of Kenya and Egypt and stuff. She's
true.
always been darker in the comics. And
But
I think
nobody
for
said
Miles
no to
Morales,
Halle at the time, though.
Yes,
Nobody
Halle
said
Berry.
no.
I mean, she was Halle Berry. I get it.
Yeah.
I
So
get
it's
it.
Halle, like,
I get it.
yeah,
That's
you're
why
right, you're right,
you
you
can't
got it.
even you couldn't even complain for the crap that was Catwoman. You was like, well, Halle
Right.
Berry walking
Halle,
around in
yeah,
black
yeah.
leather.
That's a Halle Berry reference we
okay.
had. We talked about it on Geek Beats. Chuck was like, she was 40. I'm like, but she was Halle Berry.
She's Halle Berry.
Halle Berry, son.
Yeah.
Halle Berry.
I guess like I can kind of also see your point, like definitely color, dark and light, that.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that it took forever to get Black Panther on the screen, right?
Yeah.
He was phenomenal, but how much different would it have been if you saw Black Panther on screen, Chadwick Boseman versus Shamar Moore?
Shaman Moore.
But I hear you, but it's the level of dealing with the conflict, dealing with confliction. And he's a very conflicted and tormented character in Penguin. And in many of the Miles books, he's there's some things he's got to do.
Oh, I definitely think that he has the acting chops to do it. That is not my pushback on that.
Yeah.
So
It's
when it
aesthetics of
comes
it
to
all.
that, he has it in spades. I would be like, yes. But I just think that other piece where representation is so important, I think it would be better. There's other actors out there. Well, they'll find one.
I also think like I feel like he'd kind of also be typecast because I mean maybe it's just because like I see Gotham in like this character and like he kind of has like I feel like it'd be kind of trying to avoid this.
No, I hear you. It'd be weird. It's almost like, I don't know, if I just threw something crazy out there, like I don't know, like Steve Urkel as a bounty hunter pirate mercenary, like in Star Wars. That would be weird, right?
I guess I kind of see like a copy paste. Like Gotham looks like New York, and Miles Morales is in New York, and he's on a lot of rooftops, and Miles Morales is on a lot of rooftops. So I feel like it's like almost like, oh, this is an easy pick.
Yeah.
And I'm not downplaying his acting ability. I think he's an amazing actor. I just feel like that's just I feel like they can go with a different actor for what is it, Miles Morales. I think it's just because we see him in like this Gotham like setting. Yeah.
I do agree that whoever they get for that needs to have the acting chops to do it, and that's maybe a little bit more important than the aesthetic, but there should be at least one actor out there that can do both. So
But back to Penguin, like this was just a well acted cast for this show. It was just phenomenally acting. They had a great piece of material to pull from as well.
even some of the side characters, I think there was really only one character in this entire show that I did not like, and they had zero purpose. I don't know what they was
What you
doing.
about to say?
Yes, Theo Rossi.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr.
What a
Julian
waste.
Rush. What
What
are
a
we
waste.
Wait,
doing?
hold
Yeah.
on. Theo Rossi. I'm trying to remember who they were.
He was Dr. Rush.
Dr. Rush,
A psychiatrist.
Sophia's psychiatrist.
There isn't a. I'm. Yeah, there's a lot of speculation about that character, but
Yes.
Scarecrow,
And I
right?
know what you're gonna say, and I don't want to spoil it because
yeah,
they're
I'm
saying
not. I'm not
because
gonna.
like because we know because we know that in normal DC universe, the Penguin's name is Oswald Cobblepot.
Mhm,
And here they've made a lot of, they called him Oz Cobb or Oswald Cobb.
mhm,
So they changed his name. And there was a few other characters in like in the Batman movie. The Riddler is Edward Nigma, whatever.
mhm.
And they changed his name in that movie. So if this is what you're going to say, Catherine, that they're saying that Dr. Julian Rush, that he actually becomes another character that you may or may not be familiar with in Batman's rogues gallery. I don't know. I don't know what he was doing
Oh.
in this.
Yeah. I guess it's also just kind of to show like a power dynamic thing, but yeah, I can see like he's not. He's kind of a yeah.
I guess, are we getting a season 2?
And let me add to that. Do you want a season 2? Are we
There's
getting
Actually,
do you
that
want one?
listen, y'all are so great. Y'all are so
I
perfect.
feel like we should
'Cause
conclude it and punctuate it right here.
that was my segue too. That was the next question. Like, you know what I'm saying? The way that the show ended, we know it's the end of season 1.
Mhm.
But it ended in such a way that it can be punctuated right here and we're done. This
Mhm.
is it. But it also ended in a way that we could continue. Do we want it to continue? Do we want a season 2? And what would that look like?
I feel like it's okay for stories to end. Like, we don't need 7 seasons, 3. Like, when a story has run its course, whether that be 1 season, 5 seasons, whatever, it's fine for it to end. I thought we punctuated it and we stuck the landing on this. I don't see a need for another season. And like, Colin Farrell is a movie star. I wonder how long he gonna be known to TV and taking up that much time. Just
Couldn't
Now,
have been
here's
cheap.
what I
Yeah.
here's what I heard, and I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate, but the events of the Penguin TV show lead directly into the Batman 2
Yeah,
movie.
it does. And then they were gonna have Penguin after the Batman 2. Was I think a second season of Penguin. There's talks of
So,
that. So
depending on box office receipts and, clamor amongst the fans, whatever, that may or may not ever happen. So, but that is the rumor right now on where that's going. So,
mhm.
for my vote, let's do 1 season and out. I'm good with it.
yeah, because one of the best properties I've seen in a long, long time, is in definitely shot to number top 5, top 3 with a bullet, is Arcane, and they only plan 2 seasons, allegedly.
I mean,
There's rumors that they
Spin-offs.
plan more, but they did 2 seasons in and out. Grand opening, grand closing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
I
I'm
mean, Ken
upset. I
Loach only
want
did
more, but
3. Like,
I
he
get
did
it.
3 and out, and it could have went on forever, right? Like, it's all right for stuff to end when the story.
Thank
done.
you. I agree with you.
It is.
It's
But when it's
okay.
that good, he's like, why does that end? And then we have, you know what I'm saying, season 19 of Love and Hip Hop. Like, make it stop. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
why is there another season 26 of Keeping Up with the Kardashians? Make it stop.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, sorry. I guess for me, I agree. Like it could end here, but I'm not against there being a second season. However, I would prefer to see more variations of like different villains, different heroes, branching off and adding more to Matt Reeves' world. Just because there's so much going on in this. Like I just feel like he sat in a shack and like either ate Batman cereal or whatever with like Sopranos and like just sat there day and night with this world, and it really feels like there's so many stories he can tell from this world. So
Like the
If they
He's
did
sitting
a
in his
season 2
underoos.
like that, if they did a season 2 like that, would you want to see more of the better known villains, maybe those that even have some powers and things like that, would you want to see them trickle into this world?
It kind of alluded, but I'm gonna
Yeah, I was just about
Y'all
to say.
ready
I
to
was about
jump
to
out
say.
his seat? Let him get in there.
Yeah. Look. Would I want to see powers in this world? Absolutely not. I think once you add powers, once you add the fantastical, the magic is gone. Because just like would you bring like somebody fantastical in the world of Sopranos? No. Would you do that in Goodfellas? Absolutely not. You do it in Casino? No. It makes no sense. But they did leave this episode. They did leave this series with an interesting possibility that could still be street level.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be interesting depending on how they want to use that particular character. The magic can still be there with that. So would I rather than be one and done? Absolutely, because then I can be confident in knowing that there's a nice little bow on this and I can go about my business. But if they do and they're like, the money's talking and we have to do a season 2, I kind of hope they can figure out maybe with that angle, with that nice breadcrumb that they left, because I think there's magic in that still.
And there are several rogues in the rogues gallery that have abilities or whatever, or they do certain stuff, but they're not power based. It's not like they're mutes. They don't have power. So there's several that could do some stuff that could show up in. I mean, I don't know if it's written well. There's a lot of stuff that you could do that could still be street level based, and it could work. But
the Batman animated, the new one. It's Batman. What was that new one that came out on?
Me and
Bruce?
I watched it. Yeah.
oh yeah, was it
The one that
It
was
took
on
place in
Amazon.
like the 30s or the 40s or something.
Batman Adventures or something like that?
Yeah.
No, it's something. Whatever. My brain is losing it. But
Batman Crusades.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
Cape
That's it.
Crusader.
Cape
Yeah.
Crusader.
They handled some of the villains in like a unique way. Not I try to I'm trying not to reference what I'm talking about, but like there's elements of how they handled the villains that may not necessarily have to have powers, but I think how they handled them there and how like Matt Reeves just kind of could go about it, and I think how like Sotelo is kind of going about it. There's definitely interesting avenues and how they can do that, and I think Cape Crusader kind of alluded to it, even though it went more into the fantastical realm. Um, yeah, I'm trying not to spoil it. So yeah.
Let's face it, Gotham is just full of batshit crazy people. They're not metahumans. They just batshit crazy because they grew up in Gotham.
It's like Florida Man, but Gotham.
And you got to start at the top. It starts with the hero. He's bad
Right,
shit crazy.
right, including our
happens to be a
protagonist.
billionaire.
Yeah, they just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, Gotham's own Elon Musk. I did it.
Oh, he's.
I'm sorry. I know you're a Batman stan. I'm sorry.
Oh no! It's just the fact that Elon Musk he's building a supercomputer in Memphis. So
he's making his own Batcave. That's what he's doing. He think he Batman.
apparently he's in Memphis every weekend. So
Oh
Oh,
God,
Lord.
he's down there trying to get some of that barbecue.
The $350 billion man. That's his total worth.
almost trillionaire.
Crazy.
Oh, gosh, just disgusting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think we have beat this poor little horse to within an inch of his life and made all the weave for all the women on the west side. So
Oh Lord.
Wait, all the what?
all the weave.
Oh, okay. I heard
Get out of here, Catherine. Get out of here, Catherine.
What? What? Y'all act like y'all don't walk around and see every day. See women walk around with whole heads full of horse hair.
No, I thought you said all the we and the horses, and I was like trying to figure out what is we and horses, or you just go wee horsey. I had a very different visual.
That went left fast.
Yeah.
So let's re-rate this. What did we think? Does anyone? I mean, we can just. You know what? I'll do it. Randy, what is your new rating? Sir?
Binge-worthy. 3 times like juice. We'll make it come
You almost said it like you said was saying Candyman. Okay.
right. Candyman.
Sintel, what is your rating, sir?
Come on now. If I could go higher, I would. It's that good. It's
Okay.
solid.
Catherine.
I guess since we mentioned horses, it's a fully flamed horse. Uh, it's all on fire in perfect condition. Riding Ghost Rider like the whip,
Okay.
but it's a gourmet meal for me. So it's not only a binge worthy, it is a full course gourmet meal.
Okay, yes. And you know what I'm saying, little Salt Bay or
And
whatever chef. Yes.
some beautiful barbecue since I'm in Memphis. So you know.
Yes. Yeah, I'm staying in the same place too. So yeah, so it looks like our initial rating was a binge worthy, and our post rating is also a binge worthy. We're glad that we share our opinions and our about this wonderful, wonderful series. And if you have not seen it, we absolutely binge worthy, the TV show, the podcast, and the Geekish Network. We suggest that you watch The Penguin as soon as possible. We want to thank everyone who showed up in the chat. Randy, you got the chat still up? Who do we have show up in the chat? I know Dark
A
Namja
bunch
was
of
in
people.
there.
We got Mark came through the chat. We got
Hey,
Dark
Mark.
Namja, Teddy Love. I don't know who Teddy Love is. We appreciate you stopping by, Teddy.
All right. Listen, we're growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and we know that we had Chuck didn't make it
Back in
on
the
with
back.
us
Yep.
for this episode. We know that we had the greatest technical producer in the land, Mr. Ronnie Kajuto. He had to step away from the keyboard for a
And
little
Todd.
bit.
Todd.
But
We had a Todd Barrows. He was in the
Todd
chat.
Burrows. Oh, okay. Yeah, we know Todd. Okay. Todd, that's Isaiah Centel.
Hey, what up?
Hey,
We
yeah,
got you, Chuck. We know you in the
Yeah.
chat.
yeah.
Yeah, and we do
Appreciate you,
have
bro.
Chuck in there. We had Rodney that would jump in there. He would have some things to say, like Shoray Agdashlu. She was Ava Sarala from The Expanse. That's one of my favorite characters in that show. So we want to thank everyone for coming out. Also, if you have any technical, digital marketing needs, graphic needs, make sure that you hit up Digital Click. We use them for all of our graphics, all the stuff that you see on Bingeworthy, on the Geekish Network. They take care of us. So if you need any of those kind of services, make sure that you hit them up and they'll get you taken care of as well. Um, we are going to be back next week, and unfortunately, it's sad. I know that you guys miss us every week. Next week will be the last show of this calendar year because the two following weeks, the two following Wednesdays, will be Christmas and New Year's Day. And we're going to take a break and spend some time with family, and we suggest that you do as well. But we have a special treat. We're going to end the year off right next week. If you don't know, Amazon Prime has a show, an anthology show done by the same people who did Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots called Secret Level. And that's what we'll be doing next week. Join us, same bat time, same bat channel. Ain't that how they do it for Batman reference? Same bat time,
Yeah.
same bat channel.
Mm-hmm.
That's old school. That's
Yeah.
the 60s. No, conk, bow, ping. All right.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah. Oh, oh, I can't do the M's right.